It is time for NFL Week 1. Yes, Raider Nation, the NFL season, the real stuff is coming up later this week, starting on Friday and going into Sunday when the Raiders travel out to Foxboro to take on the New England Patriots. Welcome back to Silver and Black today, an Odyssey Sports original podcast, also heard on the radio in Las Vegas on 101.5 KDON and on the AM side, KXNT. And by the way, I want to welcome, and you'll hear much more about it in a little bit, our title sponsor this year on the video side, which you can see if you watch us on our YouTube channel. Go subscribe there. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, like it, right? Hit the bell, notifications bell, so you get a notification anytime the show is live or a new video. And you can also catch us anywhere else you watch videos. And we want to welcome Sleeper. Yes, Sleeper, including Sleeper, which is the home to the Silver and Black Today Listener Fantasy Football League. So we are just ecstatic to bring on Sleeper and our partners over at Hog Media on the video side. On the audio side, if you're watching us, of course, or excuse me, listening to us, we are an Odyssey Sports original podcast. Don't forget to subscribe there too and rate and review. We appreciate that. Skockle Branson, back with my partner Mo Moten, Mo's senior NFL writer at Bleacher Report. You can follow him on x.com at Mo Moten, Moemoto, and also the Raiders columnist at sportsnot.com. And you can follow the show SNB Today on X, and I am LV Gully on X. Welcome back to the show. All right, Mo, we get to do it for real this week, man. We got the full slate of NFL coming up, including a game in Brazil. It's going to be a great kickoff weekend. I'm ready for it. We had a great college football weekend, except for Sunday night's game in Miami, which I want to talk about. Turnovers, quarterback play. But anyway, Notre Dame lost to Miami. But a great college football weekend to get us ready for the NFL's first slate.
An appetizer into the main course. I like to call it. No disrespect to college football, but we're a Raiders podcast. We're going to be doing some NFL picks today on the Sleeper app. So that's going to be fun. And Raider football is around the corner. By this time next week, Scott, we'll be breaking down the first Raider game, win, lose, or draw, win, lose, or tie. And we'll get rolling from there. So call in. Let's talk about it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, listen, first week, and we saw what happened after the first week of preseason games, where many in Raider Nation already jumped off the bandwagon. But now going out to Foxboro, yes, the Patriots weren't terrible. It was interesting. I got a discussion with somebody who had tweeted that, the picks, because you see these national pundits and they pick games, right? And a lot of people picking the Patriots. And we had some fans. And again, I understand the fan perspective. So I'm not arguing against being supportive of your team and thinking your team will beat everybody, because that's what being a fan is. But a lot of people, it's disrespect. It's disrespect. And I'm thinking to myself, no, because remember, Patriots and Raiders had the same record last year, right? Not only that, yes, the Raiders got better. Yes, the Patriots got better. And you look at the road record in the NFL, most home teams win about 53% of their games at home. Okay, so the odds are there. Then you look at West Coast teams going to the East Coast, early starts. Record's not good. It's about 36% win percentage. So you look at that, and if I'm a pundit and I'm picking it, it's if you go by the numbers, chances are all the odds all the numbers point to the Patriots winning a home game. But as I've said, and we'll get to picks on Thursday, as far as the game goes, I look at that and I say, hey, that's what it is. It's not disrespect. It's playing the numbers.
It's playing the numbers, and if you look at the Patriots offseason, I'm not saying the Raiders didn't have a good offseason, but if you look at the Patriots offseason, pretty good defense on paper. The big question with the Patriots is their offense. And we'll talk about this, I'm sure, a little bit today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Drake May, is he ready to take the second-year leap? That's my biggest question. Stephon Diggs, is he ready coming off that torn ACL? Those are the major questions I have. Personally, I think the Raiders have the edge, but we'll play devil's advocate and say it's not far-fetched to believe that the Patriots could win this game.
Right. So, and I'm not saying the Raiders don't have a chance in this game. And matter of fact, I might pick them on Thursday. We'll see, right? And I don't know what the line is right now from a betting perspective, but we'll see that too, and we'll look at sleeper and see some player opportunities there too. Like what will Ashton Genty rush for? What will Brock Bowers receive? How many receiving yards we have? We're going to get to that during our sleeper segment with the picks. But I look at this Raiders team, and there's still some work to be done. There's a lot of doubts. We've talked a lot about the defense here, Mo, but you did a great piece up on Bleacher Report about a Raiders to-do list, a roster to-do list before Sunday's lid lifter, if you may. And so let's go into that. I want to talk because I thought you hit on some really good points with what this roster still needs. And again, I caution fans out there, they're not going to fix the entire roster in one season. Now, can they make improvements? Can they do some things before they kick it off Sunday in Foxboro? The answer is yes. Mo, start to lead us through that. Start us off with the first on your to-do list for this Raiders roster heading into Sunday.
There's some housekeeping that the Raiders need to do before they kick off against the Patriots. You want to avoid distractions away from the field. And they need to address the elephant in the room, and that's signing Jakobi Meyers to an extension or modifying his contract. Jakobi Meyers has requested a trade, but we all know that's a tactic in the negotiation process to get things going with a player's extension. So far, as of recording this for Tuesday, nothing yet. But I would assume that they're going to address this situation one way or another, whether it's a trade, an extension, a contract modification before Sunday, because you don't want to go into the season with questions about one of your better players and their contract situation. So handling Jakobi Meyers' situation in-house should be a priority this week.
Right. So when we talk about that Jakobi Meyers situation, and I said, listen, Jakobi Meyers is important to this team. Jakobi Meyers is a good wide receiver. I wish he was a little more consistent. Now, last year he didn't have a good quarterback. So you got to take that into factor. But when you look, you got to factor things in here. The market, so we understand the market's kind of overpaying, or I shouldn't say, the market's gone higher. I shouldn't say overpaying. Gone higher for wide receivers. Now, is he a true number one wide receiver? I don't think so. I think he's borderline 1-2, right? But he's a good wide receiver. He's the best experienced guy they have right now. So when you look at that, where's the point where you look at the Raiders and say you're going to pay too much, or you're not going to resolve this, and you're going to lowball him, and he's going to not be happy? Like, what's the point when you look at a fair wage based on market, based on the Raiders not overpaying? What does that number look like, and can they get there?
For me, I would go no higher than $23 million looking at the pay wage scale. Now, if you're going to say give him $25 million for the year, but not give him a multi-year extension, because the Raiders do have cap space that they can use right now. They have about $27 million in cap space. But Jakobi Meyers' current number is about, I believe it's actually about, his cap number is $15 million. So if you can bump it up for him in the interim and say, okay, Jakobi, we're not going to give you that multi-year extension, because he may be asking for $25 million or more. We're not going to give you that for the 3-year contract that you're asking for, but we can give that to you this year, and then we can revisit this in the offseason. I think $23 million on a multi-year deal is what I'd be comfortable with. If you're going to pay him for the year, we can go higher than $25 million based on the pay scale of wide receivers currently in that range.
And we saw the Bengals do this with Trey Hendrickson, right? Give him a big guaranteed dollar figure for one season. He's still going to be a free agent next year, but that gives you time to work with the agent. As long as the player and the agent are open to discussing a longer term deal, it just buys you the time. There's no hurry. And for Jakobi Meyers, if he goes out and balls and has a great season, guess what? The Raiders are going to be knocking down the door saying, let's sign now, because the better he does, the longer the season goes, the more he's going to be, right? So it benefits the player. The player gets an opportunity to perhaps more. Now, the downside is if he doesn't do well, then he's going to hit the free agent market, not on a upswing, but on a downswing. But that's the risk involved on both sides of it. So good stuff. And yeah, I agree. You just don't want to go into the season with uncertainty at any position, especially with a player who's a marquee guy who you're counting on significantly. All right, Mo, to-do list check mark number 2.
Check mark number 2 is something we've probably been talking about for the past month, and that's sign a coverage safety. So the Raiders are rolling into the season with Jeremy Chin as their primary slot cornerback based on the reports out of camp. And Chris Smith II is going to be their part-time starter at safety when Jeremy Chin moves into the slot. They let go of Thomas Harper over the past week. The Detroit Lions claimed him. They did claim Tristan McCullum formerly from the Eagles, who played a bit with the Eagles, but mostly a backup. But Chris Smith II, are you comfortable with Chris Smith II being lining up next to Isaiah Polamalu? Now, we know Isaiah Polamalu has some growing to do as well. Yeah, Raiders need some veteran production out of that group, veteran leadership. And I think a coverage safety would be a great fit for the Raiders, just in case Chris Smith II isn't ready to take that big jump as a part-time starter. Because remember, as a part-time starter, nickel is the new base. So he's going to be on the field a lot with Jeremy Chin playing in the slot.
And it's interesting to your point. I think that there's with the safety position and just this defensive backfield, it's going to be really interesting. And to your point about the matchup Sunday against the Patriots, Drake May, is he going to make that jump into year 2? And you look at the Patriots and their wide receiver core, a couple names you might be familiar with on there. And are they going to be able to do well in the passing game? And the Raiders will get tested. Let's see if the Patriots come out and can pass the ball a little better. We'll learn a little bit about this defensive backfield as well. So we'll see how it all runs out. But it's going to be huge for this defense to get some pressure up front as well to help out on there. But certainly a great point you make there. All right, the third on your to-do list has less about going out and getting a player, but instead taking a player they already have and saying, hey, let's put him on the practice squad and develop him.
If you're going to add a coverage safety, you have to make room for that player. So someone has to come off the roster. And I think it would be Cody Lindenberg. The Raiders have 6 linebackers on their active roster. Cody Lindenberg was the rookie 7th rounder they drafted out of Minnesota. And it's not to say he didn't earn a roster spot, but are you going to really use those 6 linebackers on defense? Probably not. You have Devin White, Landon Roberts, Jamal Adams, Jermaine Pratt. You got a solid core 4 at linebacker already. Tommy Eichenberg, and Cody Lindenberg will probably be special teams players. So you could probably get Cody Lindenberg through waivers and then put him back on the practice squad and continue to develop him.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at that and you say to yourself, yeah, to me, that screams, to have the 6 linebackers, Mo, it screams they're waiting to make a move, because roster adjustments like that happen all the time. We saw it with the initial 53, and you'll see it a couple more times in the first few weeks, in my view. So that points to me that John Spytek's working the phones. He's working hard. He's bringing people in. We'll see as of Monday. Of course, Monday is a holiday, but we'll see as they move into the week, because you'll see visits come in and we get reports of that because they have to report them through the NFL. And that'll tell you a little bit. But I can't imagine this team not signing a safety, a cornerback, or both.
I can, only because it seems as though Pete Carroll likes the youth there in the secondary. Because someone did ask me the same question. Do you think they're going to sign a defensive back before week 1? And I would say conventional wisdom would say yes. But to this point, it's game day week. And at this point now, you're putting in the game plans against the Patriots. You're preparing your guys. And even if you pick up a player, let's say they pick up Justin Simmons right now. He's experienced enough where he could probably see the field right away. But if they're picking up a lesser safety or cornerback, at this point, you're bringing in a guy now, he probably won't play as much. He'll probably have a very abbreviated role this Sunday. So I could see them totally rolling into the season with what they have and seeing how these young guys respond to live game action. Because remember, with the preseason being a bit shortened than we used to, 4 games to 3 games, usually the first 2 to 3 games of the regular season is the extension of the preseason.
Right. Yeah, and listen, Pete Carroll and John Spytek clearly have their point of view on that young secondary, and they want to roll with it. Now, that can be disastrous, but you have, like, to your point, you have time. So if they go into week 1, they go out and play the Patriots, and it's a bloodbath from a position perspective. I'm talking about cornerbacks. If Drake May goes out and throws for 400 yards or has a field day, which I'm not saying he will, but he could, then you might start to see some, we might need to get some veteran help in here. But I sort of like that. I think that Pete Carroll's mentality, and you look at this back in Seattle too, and sometimes to his detriment, was very similar, right? It was like, no, I'm rolling with my guys. I believe in these guys, which sends a signal in the locker room, which is a positive one, by the way. But you could stick with that too long. So now hopefully you have the balance between Pete Carroll and John Spytek, because Pete Carroll ran the show up in Seattle, no matter what anybody says. So you look at that and say, okay, as long as they can adjust on the fly, don't be too nervous if they don't sign someone, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. All right. Good stuff. Make sure if you want a little more detail on this, go read Mo's piece. You can find it linked in the description below as well. Gets a little more detail there, but we certainly appreciate that and appreciate you watching the show. We're going to take our first break. During this break, guess what? We're going to have our sleeper pick segment. So don't go anywhere. If you're watching us on video, if you're watching us on audio, we'll be right back. But we're going to go through the Raiders Patriots game. We're going to pick some player opportunities here with sleeper picks. That's right. Sleeper picks. Not only that, you can get $100 match on your first deposit using our special promo code, which you'll hear during the sleeper segment. So get ready for that. You're with Scott and Mo. This is Silver and Black Today. Don't go anywhere. All right, folks, it's time for our new segment here on Silver and Black Today on the video side, and that is we're going through some picks in the Sleeper app. Are you not familiar with the Sleeper app? You got to be, right? Because the Sleeper app, one of our favorite, the number one sports app there is, not only for fantasy football, but you can do other things there too, like play daily fantasy. If you want to get into DFS, if you want to find an app that is awesome as far as keeping track of fantasy football, keeping track of news, keeping track of what's happening with your buddies. You can talk trash. They have a great chat function, talk with other players out there. You got to get the Sleeper app. And now, guess what? You get $100 bonus match on your first deposit using a special code here from us at Silver and Black Today. And that code is GENTY. You can see it there at the bottom of the screen. Use the code GENTY. We're going to match $100 of your first $100 deposit, so that you can play along with us here. And every week, Mo and I, multiple times a week, are going to go through some picks. And Mo, I want to go through here on the Sleeper app, which you can see on the screen, the Raider game. I want to go through some Raider picks. So I'm going here, and you can see at the top, you can go through. What's cool about this is you can go by player. As you can see on the screen, I'm going through, I'm seeing Jamar Chase. I'm seeing Brock Bowers, which we'll get to in a second. Josh Jacobs, you're familiar with him. All this stuff. But if you go up to the top and you go to a specific game, if you just want to talk about the Raider game and bet on some players in the Raider game, that's what we're going to do today. So Mo, let's start in on this. And of course they lay it out by team and position so we can see what the Patriots players are getting here. But I'm going to start at the top there. We're going to pick 4 player selections here and bet this one, you and I. Okay. So we look at this. Brock Bowers, 63.5 receiving yards. What are you thinking about 63.5 receiving yards? Brock Bowers' first game of the season.
Taking the over simply because Geno Smith is going to want to get comfortable with his top playmaker. And why not go to Brock Bowers? We saw it in the preseason and the brief moments that we saw Geno Smith. Yes, he did throw a touchdown pass to Dante Thornton. They had worked on that in practice, but he also went to Brock Bowers. I expect Brock Bowers to continue where he left off last year in that all-pro rookie season and put up big numbers in New England.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the over on that one too. And if you look at this on Sleeper, as you can see here too, what the most popular selection here is over 50 yards, right? You can see it there. And I love this ranking, by the way, on Sleeper, as you can see kind of where people are selecting, and it's definitely over the 50 yards, which I understand. And then if you see below too, here you can bet on anytime TDs, select anytime TDs, receptions, and reception touchdown. Is at a half of a touchdown. So the over under on there, I like the more on that one. I like him to score as well. So I'm going to take that too, Matt. Mo, what do you think about that? I like that.
I'll take Brock Bowers for a touchdown. I'll probably slip him into some of those anytime TD parlays that I'm going to have going on Sunday.
Right. So there you have that one. So we got Brock Bowers. I like that. And look at Genty. Let's look at Genty now. We take a look at this. Same thing here. Over 50 yards, most popular. The big number for him is 73.5 78.5 yards. Now that defense, you talked about that Patriots defense. This one, even though the most popular selection is more, 67% of people selecting more than 73.5 yards. I'd like to think that he will, and I'd probably select that. But with that Patriot defense and the Raiders offensive line, as well as it got in the preseason with doing better with the run, I'm a little unsure about that one. What about you?
It's funny, we're on the same page with this one. I would take the under on this one.
Yep.
Let's remember, Jordan Meredith, while Pete Carroll has continuously praised him, this is, I want to say, first ever game, but moving to center now, we'll see how he fares. I do expect Jackson Powers-Johnson to play well at guard. He did well last year at that position, but you have a new starting center. That offensive line, while it did get better as the preseason went on, still has to gel against starters now. And as I said, the Patriots have made a lot of changes to their defensive line. Christian Barmore could be on the field. I take the under on Genty, though I do think he can have a decent game. I would take the under on 73.
Yeah, and I like that. I mean, I like the under. And again, most popular selection is over 50 yards. I think that's about right. Now, from a touchdown perspective, I think he gets his first rushing touchdown in the NFL. I just think the Raiders will get down there. I think with that methodic offense getting in against that defense, I think the Raiders would do that. So I'm going to take over on that one, which 97% of the audience is choosing on there as well. So there we go. Now we're going to go out. So we got that with the Raiders, right? Now there's some Geno Smith numbers, as you can see there, 224 passing yards. Max Crosby, 3.5 tackles. Another good one. Dante Thornton, excuse me. Touchdown again. That's got Michael Mayer there, Amari Cooper, Trey Tucker. So as you can see here, and even linebacker, you got tackles with Jermaine Pratt there. But I want to also look at the Patriots side, Mo, on this one. Drake May, 216.5 yards passing. I think that's a no-brainer. Unless he has but just knowing what we know about this Raiders offense in its first game, I'm taking the over on that all day long.
Yeah, multiple reasons I take the over on that one. First of all, you know how I feel about the Raiders secondary and their cornerback group. Pete Carroll revealed they're going to be rotating their cornerback to position. So I can see Drake May attacking whoever is in that spot. And also, I do expect the Raiders to put up points. As you said, I expect Bowers and Genty to score. Not that it's going to be some high-scoring game, but Drake May is going to have to push the ball down the field, and I think he'll be able to do that. And I think he'll be about 230 in passing yards.
Yeah. Most popular selection for Drake May from a yards perspective, as you can see on the screen, 175 plus. I think that's fair. Not many folks thinking, in fact, it's under 100, thinking he will go over 300 yards. I don't know. That's an interesting one if you want to go there. But 28.5 yards rushing, big selection there as well. Rushing touchdowns, 1/2, so under 1 is a selection there. And then if you look at passing touchdowns, 1.5, with 93% of people going over on that one. Passing plus rushing yards, 246. Mo, that's the other one I really like.
Yeah, and as I said, I think he's going to throw for about 230. And Drake May, if you paid attention to him last year, had over 400 rushing yards. He will use his legs. So if he gets to 230 in passing yards, just needs about 16, 17 yards rushing, which I think he can get against his Raiders defense, running away from Max Crosby. He'll get to that number, and you'll cash out on that one on the Sleeper app.
Absolutely. And the thing here too is if you're not a big bettor, it's okay, because look on Sleeper here. We have these 3 picks. We got the Bauer picks, the Genty picks, and the May picks. For $1 entry, Mo, just $1 pays $8.98. Right? So not bad at all. If you want to increase it to 5, then you're talking almost $45, basically $45 if you hit all 3 correct. And then it even tells you flex. So you can flex it here, which I love about the Sleeper app and Sleeper picks, is 3 correct, you get $20, and 2 correct, you get $7.20. So if you want to increase your chances, meaning that, hey, you get 2 of the 3 correct, guess what? You're going to still make some money, but you're not making as much as if you put the max on the line. This is just awesome as well. So I'm telling you, you guys got to get up on the Sleeper app here. And as I'm screwing through here, we'll see. And we got it there. So you can see our picks there again. And Bowers over 1 touchdown, basically 1 touchdown or more. Genty, same with rushing touchdowns. Drake May, 246.5 passing plus rush yards is what we went with the sleeper picks here. So do that. Make sure you get out the sleeper. Don't forget, go for a Hail Mary. Use the sleeper app pick. You could win up to 100 times your money. Use the promo code GENTY. Again, promo code GENTY, and sleeper will match your first $100 deposit. Predict the hottest football stats like passing yards, receiving yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and much more to cash in on your daily fantasy football skills. Use the promo code GENTY. Again, GENTY, and sleeper will match that first deposit of up to $100. First-time depositors can receive that $100 and 100% instant deposit match right then using Genty again, of course. So play ball on Sleeper and do that all season long with Mo and I here. We're happy to welcome Sleeper and Hog Media to the Silver and Black Today family. Go get them, folks. Let us know how you do, and we'll talk to you about those picks for the rest of the weekend on Thursday. Welcome back to segment number 2 of Silver and Black Today, an Odyssey Sports Original podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed our sleeper pick segment. Our sleeper pick segment, we're going to be doing that twice a week, all season long. So if you're listening to us on audio, because that happens over on the video, go subscribe to the YouTube page, Rumble, Facebook, wherever you watch our video, and you can check out that, get some picks from Mo and I in the sleeper app, daily fantasy stuff. So you don't have to be a big bettor. You can be a fantasy football player, but you can make a little money. It's really fun. Thanks again to Sleeper and Hog Media for being a title sponsor of our video this season. Welcome aboard to them, and welcome aboard to you as we get into segment number 2. Mo, I'm surfing through, as you and I do every day, all the news that's fit to print. I forgot who said that, about the Raiders. And there was a story where the Athletic rated the NFL's best and worst quarterback situations, right? So now the Raiders, if this was 2024, one of the worst quarterback situations in the league, yeah, absolutely. That borne out to be true, clearly. So the Raiders go out and make a big bet. They go trade for Geno Smith. And I think everybody universally, for the most part, thought that was a very good move for the Raiders, right? Not so of Saad Youssef, who's a writer over at The Athletic, who did the 10 worst quarterback situations in the NFL. He ranked them, okay? And he ranked the Raiders as one of the 10 worst NFL quarterback situations, okay? So I want to get reaction to this and use this as a jumping point to talk to our listeners about national coverage of the Raiders in a second. But Youssef said here, it's never a glowing indication of your quarterback situation when you have to trade for your backup less than 2 weeks before the start of the regular season. Of course, talking about Kenny Pickett. He does mention O'Connell's injury, but on the bright side, at least this year's starting quarterback battle wasn't between O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. But he goes on to talk about the fact that the Raiders just did not put themselves in a better position. He put them at number 7, so they're not the worst situation, but they're in the top 10 worst situations here. And it's interesting here because the team that traded away Geno Smith, okay, who was the Seattle Seahawks, went out and got Sam Darnold, okay, who had a resurgence, obviously, last year in Minnesota. But you look at the situation, and by any sense of the imagination, do the Raiders have the best quarterback situation in the NFL? No. They don't have the heir apparent yet. They don't have any of that stuff. But they do have a guy who's much better than anything they've had in recent years. I use this as an example, Mo, of the fact that when somebody covers the entire league, and I want your insight here because you cover the entire league. Clearly, you're plugged into the Raiders very closely because of this show and because of your work at Sportsnet, where you're the Raiders columnist. But when you see somebody covering the entire league, this is somebody who might not cover the Raiders for 5 more weeks because a story pops up, or might never cover them again. Talk a little bit about that and why, as fans and our listeners and viewers out there, need to take that with a grain of salt and maybe not get too fired up about it.
So let's peel back the curtain for league-wide writers. And I don't speak for every league-wide writer, but league-wide writers, for the most part, they have surface knowledge of every team. They have to have a working knowledge of what's going on around the league, obviously the title. But you're not going to get the intricacies and the kernels of knowledge from league-wide writers about the specifics of a team, how Geno Smith is performing at camp with the Raiders, and how he fits in that system, his relationship with Pete Carroll, and what that means for the offense and team in general as being a team captain. So when you read these league-wide pieces from most outlets, just understand that, as Scott said, they're not covering the team from day to day. So they may not have the in-depth knowledge to write an informed piece to tell you, okay, this is where they should rank. And I'm not trying to take a dump on the Athletic and Yusuf in his piece, but just keep that in mind when you read these rankings. And no ranking is all rankings, I should say, are subjective.
Right.
It's someone's opinion. And he may have an in-depth knowledge of Raiders, and he may still be the Raiders have one of the top 10 worst quarterback situations. But I personally don't see how bringing in a two-time Pro Bowler who's 2022 Comeback Player of the Year puts the Raiders in a bottom 10 situation. I know they had to trade for their backup, but I think Kenny Pickett, and we said this last week, Kenny Pickett as a backup is one of the better backups in the league considering his starting experience. So if you're looking at it from top to bottom, can't agree that it is a top.
And Mo, and they improved their back. And he talked about, and again, I'm not criticizing him either, to your point, when you're covering the league wide, and I appreciate you giving people that background because I think it's important to hear. But they improved their backup situation. Yes, they had to trade late for it, and he kind of says, well, that's not good. But in this case, it actually was good because of the injury to O'Connell, and God bless him. I hope he's healthy and I hope he goes on to play somewhere. But they improved their situation. I'm not saying Kenny Pickett's a starting quarterback in this league, but as a backup and a spot starter in a tough jam, they improved their situation. He's much more experienced as far as in tight games and so on. So listen, again, bottom 10, no. Top 15, I think so. If you look at quarterbacks in the NFL and where they're at, I think top. Now, again, the chain of who's going to be his successor and the long-term franchise guy, the Raiders keep kicking that can down the road because they haven't had the opportunity to really address it. That's a fair criticism. Look, what happens 3 years from now? Major question. But they have a year or two to try to start to plan that out and figure it out and make a move to do so. So I think that's key. But I do think, and it goes back to what I talked about at the top of the show, people say, oh, the Raiders aren't getting respect. First of all, it doesn't matter. You need to win to get respect. And yes, the Patriots didn't do anything. Oh, what have they done since Brady left? Nothing, but they won 6 Super Bowls. So, and it's recency, by the way. Okay. Yes, the Raiders have 3 Super Bowl wins long time ago. Back when I was a kid, that's how long ago it was. So that stuff, you can't get too worked up about it. And if I like to be, Mo, I don't know about you, when you talk about the Knicks and some of the teams you love, I want my team to be like under the radar. I don't want them to be the cover story. I want them to just go out, boom, boom, boom. And then suddenly 8 weeks in, you're going, whoa, look at the Raiders at 6-2. Not saying they will be, but you know what I'm saying? I want my team to not get the accolades and not get all the pressure put on. I want them to actually be under the radar, surprise people by winning and winning. Doesn't matter if it's ugly or not, just winning, going out and showing that you've improved.
I'm with you on that, but I also understand how some fans would look at these type of articles and say, you know, why are writers always dumping on the Raiders and saying that their situation here is the worst situation. Oh, they're ranked at the bottom here. It's almost like if you're a fan opening an article, you're almost expecting the Raiders to be at the bottom of it.
Right.
And you at least want to read that a good reason for it. And we, you know, not to attack the writer, but again, we went through reasons why we don't believe the Raiders have a bottom 10 quarterback situation. One thing I will note too, Scott, is Kenny Pickett is clearly a better fit for Chip Kelly's offense. The Raiders have been bringing in mobile quarterbacks. I've said this over and over again. He is a better backup quarterback for Chip Kelly. And as you said, that is why it's an upgrade. So the Raiders upgrade their starting quarterback situation from Geno Smith from Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell to Geno Smith. And then they upgrade their backup quarterback situation from Aiden O'Connell to Kenny Pickett. So no way, no chance the Raiders have a bottom 10 quarterback situation. So I disagree with the writer, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, again, you're right too. You get tired of being crapped on because you're a fan. It's your team. You care about your team.
Yeah.
But it's because of what's happened recently. But I will tell you, I do think unless the Raiders go out and really struggle, I think it changes because, again, Pete Carroll, John Spytek, Tom Brady is part owner, all that stuff. You started to see it turn a little bit. But when it comes to picking games, when it comes to the players and the performance, that you can't get goodwill over, feelings over until they go out on the field and prove it. And I think they will at times this year. I really do. You and I have said 7 or 8 wins, and people aren't necessarily happy with that. But I think you're going to see a much more cohesive team that executes better than it has in the past. It might fail because of a lack of talent in certain areas, but I do think it's going to be much better. So I think people will start, and I think the national media and all the people who hate on the Raiders, they will see that too. I say hate in quotes, by the way, because it's not actual hate. It's just they dismiss the Raiders. So until they have a reason not to, they will do so. All right, good stuff. Well, I just wanted to talk. I like to talk to our listeners out there because I want to give them some psychology help, some psychological help, I should say. Well, and we're trying to do that here because we care about our listeners, right? And we'll get into the fantasy football matchups that we have with our listeners coming up on Thursday's show. By the way, on Thursday's show, I got to mention we're doing a nice crossover segment with our buddies Andy and Fitzy from Six Rings and Football Things on Odyssey Sports original podcast. They're also have a radio show, a daily radio show there covering the Patriots in Boston. So we're going to do a crossover segment with them. They're from WEEI Radio. So we'll have a nice back and forth with them on what to expect in the game. And maybe we'll make a friendly wager with them. They'll have to send us clam chowder or Sam Adams or whatever. We'll figure it out. Avocado smoothies from maybe cranberry smoothies, right? Up there. We'll see. But we'll have fun with them. And that'll be on Thursday's show. So make sure you tune in for the game preview. Mo and I will do more picks from Sleeper on Thursday, as well as give you our winner of the game, who's going to win, the Raiders, the Patriots, and what's going to happen there. So we'll have lots of stuff just chock full on Thursday's show. So make sure you tune in, subscribe all over the place so we can do that. All right. Now, coming up next, it's the Raider Nation switchboard. We got your calls coming up. We'll get some of those coming up after the break. You're with Mo and Scott. This is Silver and Black Today. Welcome back to the home stretch here on Silver and Black Today, an Odyssey Sports original podcast. Also on the radio, 101.5 and KXNT on the AM side in Las Vegas. Do us a favor, subscribe to wherever you get your audio and wherever you get your video, especially up on YouTube, which is, I think, the best way to go, especially that chat. When the show's rolling, you get some great chat there with the folks inside. Do that on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, then hit the thumbs up, give us a like, and the notifications bell so you know when we have a new video. Mr. Maurice Moten, Mr. Skockle Branson, we're back. We are in school. We are ready for your feedback and your phone calls. And we are also, again, want to thank and welcome aboard our new partners on the video side, and that is Sleeper. Sleeper Picks, don't forget, you get $100 match on your first $100 deposit for Sleeper Picks using our special code, only here, Genty. That's right, the last name of Ashton Genty. Genty, and you get that extra $100 deposit where you can do daily fantasy, and we're doing those picks on Tuesdays and Thursdays here as well. So make sure you do that. But thank you to Sleeper and our partners over at Hog Media. All right, Mo, we're going to get into some phone calls, a few today, some folks we haven't heard from in a while, which I always like. I like people are checking back in now, the season. They're done with vacation. They're done following baseball, whatever it was they do when football's not in session. And so we're getting to that in front. And speaking of, we get an OG to start this off. And I do mean OG because it's my guy, Gangsta Raider, who used to call in and still does a lot to Q over at Raider Nation Radio. When I was on Raider Nation Radio with my daily show, he used to call in all the time as well. So we got a call today from Gangsta Raider to start us off. Here he is.
And is it just win, baby, or is it just save money, baby? This is Gangsta Raider from LA. And the whole motto of the organization is just win, baby. not just save money. So I don't understand why you don't want to pay Jakobi Meyers, because you talk about he's not a number one. Well, he's our number one. He's our number one wide receiver. Mark Byers is not a number one. I mean, he's not a wide receiver. He's a tight end. Our number one wide receiver is Jakobi Meyers. So pay him or bring in a number one wide receiver. Just like when we didn't want to pay Josh Jacobs. You didn't want to pay Josh Jacobs, and then we end up winning only 4 games. You understand what I'm saying? You cut players to save money, but it's to the detriment of the team. Now pay Jakobi, and let's get this thing rolling so we can win at least 9 or 10 games. You know, without Jakobi, we don't win 5 games, 5 or 6 games. That's how important and integral to our offense he is. So pay him like that, and let's just win, baby, not just save money. Keep it gangster, y'all. I'm gone.
All right, there's Gangsta Raider. Good call, man, and I can't disagree with him. I mean, Jakobi Meyers is the Raiders' number one receiver at the moment. Does he deserve true number one money, Mo? We talked about this earlier in the show, but he is your number one guy. Gangsta Raider's right. But does that mean you pay him top 5, top 8, top 10 wide receiver money?
As we said, I think the middle ground is you pay him that money for this year. So Jakobi Meyers wants to pay raise. He's earned it, right?
Yep.
Because he's in like the top 30-something receivers with his current salary. But let's say, as a general manager, John Spytek is saying, well, we drafted Jack Besh, who is the replacement based on skill set for Jakobi Meyers, that inside-outside wideout. You drafted Jack Besh in the second round for a reason, but it's also clear that Jack Besh is not ready to contribute in a major way. Dante Thorne has surpassed him on the depth chart. Dante Thorne is probably going to play more snaps than Jack Besh this year. So you're not ready to replace Jakobi yet, but you have his replacement on the roster. To me, the middle ground there is we'll pay you now because you are our number one, quote unquote, now. And we'll revisit this in the offseason. Now, will Jacoby's camp say okay to that? That's the whole other half of the story. But as Gangsta Raider said, if it's just win and the motto has been we're going to compete and win now, as Pete Carroll has said over and over again, then you would think that they're going to keep Jakobi Meyers at least for this season.
Yeah, and I listen, I think he's right too. Does Jakobi Meyers, I don't know if it's 4 wins, but I definitely think not having Jakobi Meyers there could be 2 or 3 wins if you don't have him, right? I mean, I think that he is important to that offense. And so another good point there by Gangsta Raider. Thanks for calling in, man. Appreciate you. And hopefully you call in again soon with another good one. Here we go. Here's Johnny down in Florida by way of California, of course.
Yo, Scott and Mo, this is Johnny from Cali, living out here in Florida. You know, I thought the Raiders were taking steps forward, but it's obvious to me the lack of the secondary. We're going to give up 30, 40 points a game. We don't have a great defensive line. You know, we don't have a line that's going to put pressure on the quarterback to cover for the insufficiencies of the secondary. I don't know what Pete Carroll's doing. I mean, I guess the only thing I can think of is he's giving the young guys some burn, and they're going to learn, you know, a learning curve. But, you know, to be optimistic, I mean, everybody knows if you watch the preseason games that we're lacking a secondary. You know, we don't even have a veteran back there. Jeremy Tim is no veteran. We need to get a veteran back there to teach these guys the right way. I don't know. Just tell me what you guys think. I think we're in trouble on the defensive side of the ball. I've been watching this team for 45 years, and I think I know I'm right. Anyways, great show. Love the content. I'm back, baby.
Johnny, thanks for the call, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, hard to argue with some of the points you made. I think he said it. Pete Carroll wants to give these young guys some burn, that he wants to give them a chance. They believe in it, and we'll see how it goes. Now, Mo, we talk about that. We've talked about it throughout the show, actually. But what we haven't mentioned is how much help they're going to need and what we need to see from that defensive front to help that back end. Because the back end is what it is. Johnny he nailed it. But with that front side, talking about defensive tackle, talking about the ends, of course, we know Max Crosby is going to be who he is. And the linebacking core, too. We're going to have to see more there. We're going to have to see some good pass rush from this team to take some of that pressure off.
We went from just win baby or just say baby with Gangsta Raider time back baby with Johnny. It's good to have Johnny back. Johnny's always got some good comments, and Johnny's always very straightforward and objective, which is the theme of this show. Johnny, I feel like I can have a genuine Raider conversation with Johnny, and he won't get offended by anything I say, because a lot of his criticisms are my criticisms and our criticisms on this show. We talked about the secondary endlessly, Scott. I said I don't trust the secondary. I've said on this show, and fans have pushed back on me, and that's fine. I think the Raiders have one of the worst cornerback, if not the worst cornerback group in the league. Now, if Youssef over at the Athletics had said the Raiders have one of the 5 worst cornerback groups in the league, I would agree with him. As I said last week, if you're going into the season and Eric Stokes is your CB1, I'm not too comfortable with that. And someone asked me, how confident are you in Eric Stokes as a CB1? And I said, well, for this group, not very confident, because all he had to do is be a vested veteran. Now, he has some starting experience on his resume, but let's not forget that between 2022 and 2023, he missed almost 20 games because of injuries. So not only has he been a mediocre average starter, he has an injury past. And if you're relying on that player as your cornerback 1, that's your cornerback 1.
Yep.
If you're being honest with yourself, you have to be nervous about that situation.
Yes, 100%. And so we'll see what they do. But I mean, look, again, I want to see how they perform. I mean, it's hard. We all, I think, have the same unease with that defensive backfield. But we'll see what happens on Sunday in New England. That's why I'm so jazzed for this game, is to see how the offense goes, to see how that defense performs, so we can actually judge them against a frontline NFL team, even if it is the Patriots, who are coming off, and I think a tough season too, but have gotten much better and have a better coach. All right. Now we're going out to North Carolina, and even the pad I touch here on my soundboard is Carolina blue. So that means it's time for Tommy the Tar Heel. Here we go.
Scott, Mo, how are you? It is Tommy from North Carolina, a.k.a. Tar Heel Tom, as you guys called me the last time I called. Very excited due to some of the changes. I'm actually looking forward to Amari Cooper, despite the very brutal down year he just had. But I think he gives a nice added element to the offense. And he, based on listening to him, he's got some kind of a chip on his shoulder a little bit. So I'm kind of excited to see, how it all plays out. And he's excited to come, work with Geno Smith and Pete Carroll. And, the Raiders reunion got me kind of thinking, and this is going to be a very controversial question. I plan on getting attacked for this one, but now that Derek Carr is retired, do the Raiders give him like the proper send off that he never really got?
No,
because they decided to sit him the last however many games, and the way Josh McDaniels handled that. I'm just wondering if, maybe with Cooper back in the building, maybe they just kind of, I don't know. It was a thought. It's not a great one, but it came to mind. I'm curious if you guys have any sort of feelings, or if you guys think that's maybe even a thing. But very excited for the season. It's right around the corner. Go Raiders.
All right, Tommy, we love your calls, man. But the answer is no. My emotion is blah on that one. That's my opinion. First of all, he's retired. Second of all, send off. Yeah, I get it. Derek Carr will come back. He'll light the torch. He'll get a big round of applause. He'll come back for alumni days. That's going to happen. And that's good, right? I mean, we've seen hey, look, what happened between Al Davis and Marcus Allen, if that can overcome, I know Al Davis passed and then his son brought him back in, but still, if that can be rectified, this will be too. And he'll get his day in the sun in front of Raider Nation, but it's not going to be as a backup quarterback or a quarterback signed to the roster.
Correct. We're past this.
Most suddenly silent. You're not going to say anything?
We're past the Derek Carr years. We're past Carr Wars. Yes, he will be back as a Raider alumni As you said, light the torch. Round of applause. Thank you, Derek, for your service. And he broke some records. He's got some franchise records. That's great. And it'll be a feel-good story once he's back in silver and black, but not as an active player or a backup or a third stringer or, anywhere on the field. But recognizing his time with the Raiders, has come and gone. Great. But, yeah, let's move on. Geno Smith, Kenny Pickett, develop young quarterbacks, and let's move on.
But Tommy, listen, obviously, Tommy, you're not an anti-Carr person. I hate to say that, but you're not somebody who disliked Derek Carr, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But again, I always find it interesting. And yes, Amari Cooper, though, you look at the situations, right? The situations are very, very different. Yes, the Raiders aren't looking for another quarterback. They got Kenny Pickett. They traded for Kenny Pickett. They traded for their other quarterback in Geno Smith, their starter. So they're not out looking for another quarterback. So they were looking for a wide receiver. They needed some veteran wide receiver help. And Amari Cooper, who had injuries last year, nagging injuries, and didn't perform as well as he has in previous years, coming back. So a very different situation. Just like, let's say, Josh Jacobs was available and they needed a running back. And he was still doing pretty well. Yeah, I could see that happening too. But not in that situation, not with Derek Carr and the fact that he retired and the Raiders' current roster situation. So, but Tommy, you can always share it with us, and we're not gonna make fun of you. We're not gonna go crazy, even if we disagree with you. So we appreciate that, man. Appreciate your honesty, your transparency, and realizing that there are unhinged people on the internet that will attack you.
Yes. Really quick, Tar Heel Tommy, this is a no flame zone, so we're not going to flame you. It's all good. If you want to suggest the Raiders go back and get Devontae Adams, we will flame you. No, I'm kidding. Whatever idea you have out there, put it on the floor and we'll discuss it and we'll have fun with it.
We will. Absolutely. All right. Well, that concludes. We had a smaller sample of calls today, but that's okay. Make sure if you guys want to call in, 702-900-7869 is the number. And from a timing perspective, if you get your calls in Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, usually you're going to get on. Okay. Thursday too, listen to the podcast and we do all the calls due to time constraints for the radio show. If you listen to us on the radio in Las Vegas on Saturday night or now Sunday morning, we're going to be on Saturday night at 10 p.m. and then Sunday morning as well, the repeat of the show. You're not going to hear all the calls. So if you want to hear all the calls, subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your audio. Don't forget to rate and review. And then, of course, on video, we put everything up as well. So that's where you want to do it. 702-900-7869. You can go up to 3 minutes, but I would tell you, really get tight. Give us a minute and a half. That way we can get more callers on. I'm not limiting you. You got up to 3 minutes, and we play plenty of 3-minute calls. But if you want to be tight and get your point in, just get ready for it and get set. And then if you got to call in multiple times, that's too. It allows you to re-record. So do that. 702-900-7869. But we certainly thank you guys for being part of the show. That's going to do it. Mo, we got a busy week ahead. I know you got a busy week on Bleacher Report. Tell everybody about your lives, and then I'll tell everybody about how they can get an extra free $100.
So first things first, I will be live after every Raider game this season, starting Sunday against the Patriots. Also, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I have a Bleacher Report video, a segment on the biggest topic around the Raiders, whatever the case may be. If there's a trade, if there's an injury, I'll talk about it on Bleacher Report in a smaller segment during the week. Sports Not, I have a Raiders Daily column that drops at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. Pacific Time every morning. Biggest topics on the Raiders in print. So you can hear it. You can watch me on video. You hear me on the show and watch me on the show. You can read me in print. And I'm ready for the Raiders 2025 season. We got Johnny back. We got Gangsta Raider on the show today. So we're in regular season mode finally.
Yes, we're excited about that. And we are excited to get you $100 extra. That's right. Our good friends at Sleeper sponsoring our video this year with their daily fantasy. You got to jump in with Sleeper picks. Yes, you use Sleeper for your fantasy team, And that's awesome because to me, it's the best app. Mo, I had my Cigar Lounge buddies draft last night in my league, and it was phenomenal. We had it up on the big screen, and that sleeper draft board is freaking beautiful. It's so easy to keep track of it. But if you want $100 extra from Mo and I, that's right. We're just writing the check right to you. You get, actually, it's from the folks at Sleeper, not Mo and I. You get $100 deposit match up to $100. Use the code GENTY. That's GENTY. Again, GENTY. Just the last name of Ashton Genty. When you sign up for Sleeper Picks to play daily fantasy football, and you're going to get that free $100, which is awesome. And again, we shared some Raider picks with you. We'll share some more on Thursday. But you look at what's happening. That Brock Bowers number is beautiful. Make sure you check out the Brock Bowers number for daily fantasy for Sunday's game. But we got games coming up towards the end of this week, Thursday, Friday, the Brazil game, the Chiefs. So you can get in on the action there if you're a daily fantasy player. It's fantastic. So shout out to our buddies at Sleeper for sponsoring that. And don't forget, $100 deposit on your first $100. And that's a match. And terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details, currently operational in over 25 states. So consider Sleeper today and get that extra $100 from us here at Silver and Black today. All right, Mo, my friend, I will see you on Tuesday or Thursday, excuse me. In fact, keep track of my days. The holiday got me messed up.
See you on Thursday with the enemy on the show.
Yes.
It's going to be a fun time. As I said, regular season mode. Let's go. Just win, baby.
That's right. And again, thank you for plugging that again, Mo. Thursday show, we're going to have Fitzy and Andy on from WEEI in New England. Of course, they also host the Six Rings and Football Things podcast here on the Odyssey Network. Do a crossover segment there. Well, we'll talk some trash about the Arch and Pac, all that jazz. So we will have fun with that. Also want to thank our producer at Odyssey, that's Mr. Mike Robier, for all he does as we get set for a busy season ahead. And we're excited about it. We're excited to have you here. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your audio and where you get your video. Again, thumbs up, hit the notifications bell, and we'll see you on Thursday, Raider Nation. Have a great early week. I hope you had a great holiday, and we will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.